Yo, 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 what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Brothers in Arms, a new way for men to talk. I am your host, comedian Edgar Rivera, and I'm joined today by my brother, Dr. Dan Ratner, and Eric Nieves. What's happening, brothers?
How are you? I got to jump in right away. I didn't get to do it last time.
I know, last time I was like, man, they forgot me again.
It will never.
We had a guest. It was we were overwhelmed by the guests. So I
was like, I had to. Well, I'm doing good. I'm good, man. I'm good, Dr. Dan. I just got back. I went away this weekend to do comedy. It felt good, man. It's been a minute, since the pandemic of getting back into the flow. So I actually went away. I went to Kentucky, which was nothing fun, but I had a blast. It was great, and happy to be here, man. Happy to be here, bro. I met with a friend of mine in Kentucky, that actually the promoter to the show, and I've known him now for I've gone out there for 4 years in a row. So it's like we built a bond more than work, built a bond, and we had a good brothers in arms conversation the last day I was there, where he opened up with a few things. I opened up to him, and it felt good, man. It actually reminded me of the podcast and what we do here. You know what I'm saying? Because we do this every time we meet, and every time we record an episode, I feel like we feel better afterwards, but we need to do it more and more, not just, I realize that I need to do it more and more, so it was a good experience, man, and now I'm glad to be home and here with you guys, man. How are you, Eric?
I got stuck on the statement. I was hanging on with a friend in Kentucky. Like, you know what I mean? Like I would have never thought in my life that, right? That's how beautiful comedy is, that you could make a friend in Kentucky. You know what I mean? Like, a kid from the Bronx, right? I'm doing good, man. I'm glad that you had a good trip.
Thank you.
I had to actually, cancel on a gig because I was sick. Now, Edgar, you understand how painful this is.
Yes.
When you can't even, and this gig, bro, it was literally like 5 minutes away driving, and that's how unwell I was feeling. Then I had to cancel.
You must have been really like really feeling bad, man. Cause
I was feeling bad to the point where I went to, because I wanted to make sure it wasn't this the COVID, right? The first thing I did was head over to the urgent care to get that looked at just to make sure. But yeah, man, it started the night before. And I had just confirmed with the gig on Friday, so I was really psyched to do it. I hate, as a comedian, yeah, I mean, you know this, bro. It's like giving up cash is so painful.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
It's bad
it's
as
like,
when they cancel the gig on you. That's just as bad.
Well, it's worse when they cancel it on you, but because that's out of your control. Actually, I think maybe it is worse when they can't. It's worse when you get sick. Let me take that back. It's okay if they cancel it. That's out of your hands, but I don't know if it was my fault that I got sick. Did I touch some mop water wrong? I don't know. I was blaming myself. I was like, oh my God, what did I do? I had this show. I was counting on this money. So, but I'm feeling better now, which is great. But it was a rough start to the week. But
I asked you how bad you were feeling, and I'm pretty sure you could relate. There's days that sometimes I feel down and I feel like, I feel like shit. I feel like I'm dragging myself. And
oh no, it wasn't that. Mine was vomit.
Okay.
Mine was vomit related.
Forget my comment then.
But no, please continue. I just wanted
I'd rather have COVID.
I
didn't want to be misleading in saying that, because what we talk about, and I just didn't want to mislead. It was definitely a vomit thing. But,
but I mean, there's days that I feel like I don't want to do this. I don't want to do this, and those are the days that I have the most fun on stage. And I truly tell people that laughter is the best medicine. There's times that I did not want to go on stage. I did not want to do comedy. And I drag myself to these places, and I get on stage. And as soon as I get off, it's like I'm a new person, man. So for you to tell me that you had to cancel that, I know exactly.
Listen, if Eric had been on stage, no one would have been happy.
Oh my God! Can you?
No,
that's horrible.
No,
man.
Can you? Well, first of all, when you look a little green around the gills. You know what I mean? And you could tell, like, oh yeah, there's some. I look like you're probably not old enough. A lot of our viewers, but there was a time you had to adjust the tint on your television to make sure that people had the skin color was right, and so you could turn people all green. That's exactly what I look like. I was just like really green. Because I canceled at 8 a.m. That's how much I knew I wasn't going to feel better by 8 o'clock that night. Like I knew, like even if I felt a little better, it wasn't going to be good enough. So
yeah, bro.
I was like,
well, I'm glad you're feeling better now, bro. And by the way, Eric, before I move on to Dr. Dan, I want to say congratulations. I saw that you finally posted the picture on social media holding the diploma.
yes,
With your little cap and gown. It was
yes, I did.
You look so unhappy. It looked like they made you do it. You were like,
all right, listen, let's be clear. All right. That was definitely I put it on and went in front of a wall moment. I was not going anywhere after that.
I want the viewers to know and the listeners that if you see in the podcast, at the end, we're going to put the picture of Eric.
See, I graduated in August, but they make you wait 3 months for the paper degree, which I always found fascinating. But like I couldn't go to my graduation. I didn't go to my graduation because we lost our beloved cat Frodo after 18 years of love, and my wife and I weren't in the mood to. Thanks. Weren't in the mood to go to Radio City Music Hall, but I paid $60 for that cap and gown, and I said, babe, we taking a picture. All right, I don't care if I don't go anywhere after this. Some people it said it looked like I was naked underneath. I was not. I was fully dressed. I was fully dressed. A few people said it looked like I was naked, like I was gonna go flash a real graduation. I was dressed. I did get dressed and all that stuff, but I earned like an academic scarf, I think it's called, or a sash. It looked like they call it a scarf. Looks like a sash, but I was like, I worked really hard for that, so I wanted a picture of me with the degree to just kind of
nice.
I did it, it was cool. And I must say I was very out of everything I think I've ever posted on social media since I've used social media, I think this is the most strongest response I've ever gotten as far as anything I put out there, which I appreciate. You know what I mean? Because because education, I think, is just something that it can be hard to obtain because of the whatever obstacles may exist, but it's something that everyone can strive for. Like, and there's no one that couldn't benefit from learning and learning more and learning something new, no matter how old you get. So, that's why I was like, you know what? Yeah, it's nice that it got that kind of response, because education is one of those things. Like, I think it doesn't hurt anyone. Like, there's no one that education couldn't benefit.
Nice. Well, I'm happy for you, brother. Well, you deserve that and more, bro. I'm very, very happy, man. So now, Dr. Dan, how are you, brother?
Oh, I thought you had forgotten me.
How does it feel?
That would be funny. And good night, folks. Good night.
I was thinking, though, I'll get to me in a second, but I was thinking when you said you went to the doctor to see if you had COVID, I was like, how many illnesses do you have that you go to the doctor and you're like, feel bad for exposing them? Like you show up and you're like, I might have leprosy. Is it okay to be here?
Yeah,
that's tough stuff.
I'm waiting for the home leprosy test. And, I don't know.
The home leprosy test. Listen, if something falls off you, you have leprosy.
It's a home leprosy test. If you're missing a finger at any time.
So how am I? I don't have leprosy. That's a good start.
Good.
I will say I'm quite mixed today. I'm very I'm excited about a lot of things. I got a lot of good things going on and feel really energized about them. But there's been some things going on lately that have really gotten me not only down, but like in a really bad space. And I want to talk about it. And it fits with the theme that we want to talk about today. And so let me start off with just the topic. Lots of people, although I had to tell Edgar about it for the first time, but a lot of people know about what happened with Kyrie Irving, tweeting about this film that is anti-Semitic. The film itself certainly is. The debate is Kyrie how should he have been about this? Should he apologize differently? And one of the responses that I've had has nothing to do with Kyrie. It actually has to do with how other people have responded to this. And I'm including people like in my own life. And listen, I've got to say this. This is uncomfortable for me to talk about. So this is a bit of a walking the walk as
I can see it.
Talked about. I live most of my life as a Jewish person. I'm Jewish, like, culturally. There's no other real impact that it has. But when something like that happens, you suddenly feel incredibly different, and everybody's talking about this, but nobody's asking me, as an example. Nobody's talking to, I don't really hear people asking Jewish people what they think about this. There are some Jews who are being very vocal about how upset they were about this, and I was very, very upset about it in a lot of ways. But one of the ways that I was most upset is I posted something on my Facebook page, about my disappointment about this, because I had seen some people that I'm even Facebook friends with who basically said, Kyrie Irving speaking lots of truths. Well, this was a movie that denied the Holocaust. And the Holocaust, by the way, was like 75 years ago. That's not that long. So when you ask me how I am, sorry to get very, very serious about it, but the fact is, I feel scared. I feel alienated, and like it's almost like an out-of-body experience. I'm able to do everything that I do, but when I think about this, I feel like I'm in a totally different place. And what bothered me most is that when I posted this, there was not a lot of support for it. Like if I put a post up that's like, happy anniversary to me and my wife, I'll get like 100 likes. I put up something about how I'm concerned about this and it has wounded me deeply, and I get like 18 likes. I don't know what that's about, but to me, and this is what our topic really is, it's important to me that people would get angry on my behalf. When I talked about that shitty therapist and you guys got angry on my behalf, that felt better than almost anything in my entire life. Mm-hmm. It feels good when people show up and care. And for me, people getting angry about the things that I'm angry about, especially when they're legitimate. I don't expect everybody to just get angry about everything I'm angry about. But if they're really legitimate and they really wound me deeply, I do expect that. Or I hope for it, at least. And not getting it, in many ways, it not only was more upsetting, but it also made me feel even less safe. Because if this kind of talk can be allowed, then I honestly don't know where I stand with humanity. I'm like, maybe there's some secret way in which people think certain things about me because I'm Jewish. I think it's wrong to think anything about somebody as a generalization based on their ethnic background or any other background. You got to find out who the real person is. So I don't understand why there's not more outrage about just that in general. Like, that should be totally out of bounds. So that's where I am. Usually you ask, how are you? And people say, I'm fine. But I'm not fine right now, and this show is important, I think, to a lot of people who watch it, but also to the three of us, because it is a time where we talk in very real ways. And this has been hard. So many ways we could go about talking about this, but that's where I'm at the moment.
I just want everybody to know that I've heard about the situation. You said it like you explained it to me, like I've been living under a rock. I know, but you said you said the guy's name, and I was like, oh no.
Yeah, you just didn't know his name.
Yeah, I didn't know his name, but man, I'm sorry. I'm sorry you feel like this. I mean, it's how do I say? Sometimes we listen, and that's what I've learned from this podcast is to listen. Listen to people, and it's very hard because hearing you as a therapist, who I consider you my therapist, you're the one that, you guide me stuff. And now I'm like, oh my God, what do I say? What do I say? So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Eric, because Eric looks like he has a lot to say.
No, I was coughing. But so no, continue your thought. No.
Well, I do think, one of the things, just to bail you out on that.
I do have one question.
Okay.
Actually.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Because I know this is a leap, but if I'm not mistaken, you've probably been Jewish your entire life.
Yep.
So, shut up, Edgar.
Not true for everybody.
I'm sorry,
yes.
bro. You said this is just a leap. I'm like, what is he gonna ask?
I'm just asking. I know people can convert later in life, but
Right.
you were born into to being the feelings that you felt. And first of all, again, I'm with Edgar. I'm sorry that you had to go through that. Were these new feelings, or were these old existing feelings that just felt like they got a rebirth because you would think the world would know better by now?
Well, it's interesting, and I can only speak for myself. I don't know what other Jewish people feel about this, but for me, this is probably a great luxury and somewhat related to where I live, the community I'm in, the way people are here. I forget about anti-Semitism for long periods of time. I remember it from the vantage point of it's important to me to remember the Holocaust. My culture is important to me. I'm aware of it, but I like to think of it as something that basically happens on the fringes with a bunch of crazy people. And it's not very often that it comes out so fully, and I'm like, oh, this is real. All that stuff that I forget about, it's not gone.
Mm-hmm.
And that's part of what's scary about it is that, yeah, I've been Jewish my whole life, but I don't even think about being Jewish a lot of the time. And then suddenly I'm in a situation and suddenly I'm being responded to because I'm Jewish. And I'm like, what? It doesn't even mean that much to me, but here I am being looked at in a different way all of a sudden on a big stage, and hearing people say that this is this is kind of a debate that could go either way. Well, I'll tell you what. Listen, I don't like getting into politics in general. I'm not trying to divide people. I don't think this cuts down party lines or anything like that. I have no idea who thinks what, but I do think that this is what I would want to say to Kyrie Irving is like, does it matter to you that what you did has now made me scared shitless for my life and for my kids, and whether they're going to be okay in 30 years, and whether we're going to end up in gas chambers because of you? That's what I'm talking about. And so when I voice that on social media, and some of my closest friends who I know are seeing, they're seeing it. They just want to stay away from it. It's uncomfortable for them or whatever. The fact that they don't care enough to be like, holy shit, this is bad. They should be supporting me, and they should even be talking to other people about it. And, I know this happens to other cultures all the time. And when it does happen, I'm there. And I will always be there. But honestly, I'm not sure if anybody's going to be there for me on that. That's how unsafe it feels. Because the way anti-Semitism kind of gets carried out to me feels a little bit different than some of the other racial and sexism kind of discussions that happen. There are major problems across the board in many different areas, but it seems like there is some degree, even among people who I'm close to, where they're basically okay with it. Okay enough with it to not say anything, which to me is crazy. I mean,
well, I want you to know, Dr. Dana, you're not alone. I'll be there. All right? I got your back.
Thank you, man.
Even though I'm in California, but I still got your back, He's
even willing to he's willing to convert. If that would actually help, so he could be an actual brother.
I think I could see where you're coming from on the whole social media aspect of it, and it's crazy how Eric talked about how he posted his picture with his diploma. He got all the love that he's ever gotten, which is it's understandable, but I can understand how you feel on when something is bothering you and you voice it out that way, because one thing is talking to us and just between the three of us and talking, but then when you actually go and post it out there and then you don't get that feedback, yeah, it could definitely make you feel like shit, especially from people that you really trust. And you know what I'm saying? And I can understand that maybe some people do not want to talk about it. Maybe some people don't want to get involved, but at the end of the day, man, if you're my friend, you're my friend. Ask me how I'm
what
doing.
I feel about it.
Ask me how. Dr. Dan, are you okay, man? You all right with this? You know what I'm saying? I mean, it's hard, and it goes, like you said, it goes with the topic of, should we get mad for other people when something happens to them? And I'm mad right now. I'm mad right now that I missed this post. I'm mad that I missed the post. And as soon as this is over, I'm going to go on the post and I'm going to put the little angry face. I'm going to put the little angry face because I'm going to be mad for you. But I think I'm that person myself where, yeah, I like to, I get mad for other people. And I definitely do show it. You know what I'm saying? And there's a lot of people who appreciate that. There's a lot of people that don't get it. Don't get it at all, But coming from your perspective, man, I'm sorry, dude. I'm really sorry that you didn't get that feedback, man. That you wanted, that you needed. Put it that
was
way.
There certain was there certain feedback that, I mean, besides the lack of it, did you get any feedback that disappointed you in some of the responses that you got from your friends or anyone?
No, I will say the responses that I did get were great. They were limited. And listen, over half the responses were from Jewish people. So no offense, but it doesn't mean as much coming from them. We're in this mess together. I'm glad that I had their support, but it meant a lot more the non-Jews who showed up.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, this is a topic that I've never understood just in general, aside from anti-Semitism or this experience. I've never understood why people don't understand that if you aren't angry on behalf of me when something bad happened to me, I'm sorry, but that means you do not care. That's how I interpret it. Now, I understand you don't have to go on a rampage. You don't have to express it as anger necessarily. But if you don't care that I'm really upset, then we're not friends. To me, that doesn't make any sense. I'm curious what you guys think, because I've sometimes wondered, is that how everybody feels, or is that just how I feel? I don't know.
I see it as maybe not to the point where I'm gonna cut you off and be like, I don't need this person in my life, But
yeah, I don't mean we're not
now
friends.
I know
like
where
that.
you stand.
Right.
Now I know where you stand. Now I know that I I mean, yeah, now you went from a friend to an acquaintance. That's how I'm gonna see it. Now I know I can trust you. Now I know I can confide in you. Now I know that you don't have my back. That way maybe I would have had it for you. You know what I'm saying? That people need to understand that too. Sometimes we get mad and then we're like, that's it. F that person. I don't want nothing to do with that person no more. And it's, I've said this before in the podcast. Not everyone is gonna be our person.
Yeah.
Not everyone is gonna understand us. Not everyone is gonna see us. But yeah, I mean, I'm definitely would feel the same way you do. I'm mad for you right now. I'm mad. I'm raged for it.
Well, I do appreciate it, as you know, and I think, though, I do want to say, like, it's okay with me if you are, not really my people, or not gonna, get upset about, every little thing that I upset about. But I'm telling you, when I get a sense of anti-Semitism, that there are people who don't even know me, who think certain things about me, and they're very, very bad things. And I think that they would think the same things about my daughters just for being born. First of all, it's very disheartening about humanity in general, but it also makes me feel like, okay, well, if you can't get mad about that, like, I don't know, how will you feel if the kinds of things that happen in Nazi Germany start happening here? I don't know. I mean, if you can't even get mad about it now, maybe you won't then. I don't know. So it's a whole different level for me. And I feel a little weird about it in lots of different ways, but some of them are like, I'm a white man. Like, I've had it very easy in a lot of ways, and this, even anti-Semitism, has not really actually caused me significant damage other than how upsetting it is. But I know what happened in the history, and this has happened many, many times to Jewish people. It's happened to many different people in all kinds of different ways, and I just can't understand why people wouldn't show up, because I know there are people who did see that post and did not respond.
Yeah,
there have to be. I mean, and I even know some people, as I said, on my Facebook feed who, think that Kyrie Irving's being wronged here. And I don't think Kyrie Irving's being wronged at all. And even the debate, is he anti-Semitic? I'll tell you, if you're a Jewish person and you read what he wrote and did, it's not even subtle. He doesn't think he's anti-Semitic, but he is.
Well, first of all, I'm just shocked by the revelation that Dan is a white guy.
What did you think I was?
I don't know how I'm going to really come to terms with that. No, I'm just kidding. A couple of things I wanted to talk about, and I think there's two things I think that I think. First of all, I think you should get upset when any group of people is mistreated in any way, but you can't even, that doesn't hold a candle to the audacity of what happened in the history of Jewish people. And I honestly think I don't think you could fully understand the ramifications of what it can do to you unless you are Jewish. So let me just say that I don't know what that feels like, and I will never know what that feels like. So let me just say that up front, because I think that needs to be said before you even begin to offer an opinion. I think that, I think a lot of people try to excuse what he did because they're saying that all he did was share a link to a film that shared, had some anti-Semitic material and promoted, anti-Semitic stories and really just lied about what happened to Jewish people. And you don't need to, just by sharing the link, to me, you're supporting the facts that are in that film, right? You can't do that. And of course, afterwards, he said he wasn't anti-Semitic, and he said he was incapable of being anti-Semitic. And then and I think this has got to make you even more mad, Dan, that not only were not enough people mad enough, there were people that were supporting what he was saying, and he's an individual, and I forgot the exact number, but when you're followed by millions and millions of people, and the majority of them, I'm sure, are young, okay? I'm sure if you did an age breakdown of his social media following, a lot of them are very young. This is not information you want to be giving millions of people to put this idea in their head, because like what Dan said is right. You think you get to a point where people are finally beginning to understand and respect what happened and acknowledge what happened. And then you introduce the idea that it never happened. And you set it up for others to disbelieve and to then treat Jewish people in the future horribly. Now, I will say also for the record, Kyrie Irving also did say the world was flat and had people agreeing with that too. So I'm not kidding, Edgar. He literally said the world was flat, and he saw no proof that it was round. Okay, and
I want him to walk off the edge of it.
Exactly, but people supported that. So I think that one of the things I think we're going to have to, that we'll always have it. There are going to be people that are going to say you're wrong, because we live in such a binary society where they think everything's got to be right or wrong. I think no matter if you have the truth and the facts, there's always going to be a small percentage of people that just are going to deny it and say it didn't happen, no matter how much facts you put out there.
True, but saying that the earth is flat isn't going to kill anybody.
Granted.
And I totally agree with you. It doesn't matter. I don't care what. No one should be treated as if they're different just by who they are. I mean, when I think about certain things in history, like the bombing of Hiroshima, my opinion about that is that if we didn't bomb Germany, we bombed Japan. That was racism. right? I mean, it sounds crazy to say that racism would happen with a nuclear bomb, but it did, because it's just a different story. And when I think about slavery and what that was like, it's hard to even fathom. And then to have people like Kyrie Irving, who knows about this kind of thing, to go ahead and disavow someone else's suffering in that way. And then, and this is the worst part, whatever Kyrie Irving does, he's just an idiot. But all the people who follow him, who agree with him, they're the people I'm pissed at. You know, sure, I'm pissed at him too, but like, I don't care what Kyrie thinks. I care that millions of people think that what he said, actually, he's onto something, and they're trying to silence him. Listen, I'm all for free speech. I am. I'm not even saying that he shouldn't be allowed to say it. I'm also not saying that he should give an apology, because you know what? I don't want an apology that I had to force you to make. I don't want it. I don't care. If he had posted it and said, "Oh my God, I did not realize what was in this, and I truly am sorry," and if he truly was sorry, great. But you know what? All those people who follow him, they have this idea that Jews control things and are making him apologize. I don't want his apology. No. Nobody wants his false apology. So it's all the people who follow it and who, you know, it's a very difficult position to be in, because if I say, you know, he should apologize about it or whatever I would say, then they say, "Oh, well, you're proving his point." I mean, it's like, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. He's put it out there what he thinks, and he's not fixing it, and his friends are going along with it, and millions of followers are going along with it. And, you know, I'm supposed to just go about my day, but really what I'm thinking is, would there ever come a time where I have to leave this country? Where I'd be chased out? You know, like, it's happened before many times in the world. Do I think that's going to happen? No, I don't, actually. I don't want to fan the flames of paranoia. I think we have a much better situation here. And I think there's a lot of good people on every side of the political fence and in all different nationalities and races and everything. So I don't think that's actually going to happen. But the fact that I'm actually worried about it, all because Kyrie Irving felt that it was okay to do that and then not apologize about it. And then we've got a culture where apologies are seen as fake, because sometimes they are. I'll tell you what, no one should apologize for things that they are not sorry about. I don't want to hear it. What's the point?
I mean, when he talked afterwards, I mean, he didn't see what was wrong with what he was doing. And I think that he literally just said, "I don't see what the problem is. Posting this doesn't make me anti-Semitic." Like, promoting this mess. I mean, he literally said that, and it took him getting suspended from his job. When he started losing money, then all of a sudden there was an apology, but I call that a a public relations statement, because he wasn't contrite as soon as that happened from the immediate backlash. Then there is no contrition ever coming.
Right. That's right. He's not sorry. And meanwhile, I love the defense that, I couldn't be anti-Semitic. Trust me, I know myself. Well, guess what? Every single anti-Semite doesn't think they're anti-Semitic. They just think Jews suck. That's what they think.
That's like when people say, "I have a friend who's black."
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. What do you mean I'm racist? I have a friend who's black. I let him come over once. Oh, okay, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, well, the one thing I will say, I'm from New York City, but I'm from the Bronx. So, you know, I had very limited direct interaction with the Jewish community, but you couldn't help but respect who they are in New York City, because this is the most, one of the most, I guess, mostly highly populated Jewish.
It's
in
by far
probably
the
in the country, Ryan.
Oh, by a huge amount. I mean, there's actually, I believe, the same amount of Jews in the New York area as there are in Israel.
Look at that. So I mean,
What?
so I think as New Yorkers, I think we've always had a relationship with the Jewish community because they're such a large part of New York, and so ingrained in it, you know. But I think that we're kind of lucky in that regard because in a lot of the country there really isn't, you know, there aren't as many strong Jewish communities throughout the country as there are in like New York. But that makes it even worse because he plays not only in New York, but Brooklyn, which is the borough that has the largest percentage of the Jewish population in the entire city of New York. It's in Brooklyn. So think about the layer of, and this is, you know, and this is the thing that kills me. And I don't know if this is leading to your anger too as well, Dan. This man is so stupid and so not self-aware of like the community that resides in the borough that has written on his chest, on his jersey, there's Brooklyn. And yet so many people are giving credence to what this man is saying and putting out there and making it harder for people to learn the truth. I mean, but how could we even change? How do we start to change those people, that percentage of people, those millions of people that are following this man? How do you even begin to try to approach them and get them to see the light?
I don't know. I mean, I think one thing that we have to expose is that Kyrie Irving has no interest in leading anyone anywhere. The only thing Kyrie Irving has interest in doing is proving to everybody in his own mind that he's the smartest person in the room. That's all Kyrie cares about. Yep. And he loves, for those of you who do follow him, he has pulled the wool over your eyes. So you think he's your leader. He is actually just using you to feel like the smartest person in the room. That's all he's doing. So I think the best we can do, really, I mean, ultimately, we just have to keep having many, many dialogues. And one of them is, do you want anybody judging you for some ethnicity or culture or race or gender or sexual orientation? Why would that be okay for anyone? And the people who are gravitating towards him, they like the idea that they're smarter than the other people. That's exactly what they like. And that's why they follow Kyrie. They're like, yeah, we know better. He knows better and we know better. And they just pat themselves on the, and it's like, can we be real? This isn't about who's smart. This isn't a contest of intelligence. Lives hang in the balance. There's genocides happening in this world right now, all over the place. And listen, I freely admit there are even some genocides going on that I don't even know about, which is a sad commentary. And I feel a little like a hypocrite when these kinds of things happen because I think about that and I'm like, shit, I'm not being angry on some other people's behalf. You know, if I hear about it, I am. But is that really caring? No, I probably need to take my own advice and pay some attention to what's happening for other people. By the way, I do want to make a correction there. The amount of Jews in America is about the same amount of Jews in Israel, not in New York. However, New York is by far the biggest Jewish population in the country, as far as I know. I'll have to check LA.
Okay, I'm sure LA's up there, but I mean that just made what he said even like more ridiculous. You know what I mean? Because he's got to be aware of the community around him. But again, maybe he's not. Maybe he's just not self-aware.
Well, he thinks that he's right. You know, he loves the idea that he's right. You can see how smug he is. He sits up there and he's like, you know, yeah. And listen, there's a way in which I can actually empathize with him, believe it or not. Because for a person to get to that position where they need to show that they're smarter than everybody all the time, that means that he has been subjugated in some way. And by the way, I would say, you know, with African American culture, they have every right to feel these things. They've been treated like they weren't as intelligent, which is ridiculous. And it pisses me off. I mean, I'm really mad about it. So, you know, I think the best we can do really is to be mad on people's behalf and to be vocal about it. And that's part of the reason I actually posted it on Facebook. You know, sometimes people post things on Facebook either for the likes, or sometimes it is to genuinely share something, as yours was with the graduation. And those things are nice. But sometimes I post things on Facebook because I want people to be thoughtful about it. Whether they're angry on my behalf or not, I want them to at least think about it. But they're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
Well, and you know, I wanted to follow up on something that you said, Dan, because you said something very interesting that, you know, you sometimes you'll think, well, with everything else that's going on in the world, like I should be angry about that, and then you start to feel guilty about not feeling. I think that the human heart, we're not capable of feeling the hatred for all the bad that's going on in the entire world. We're not built that way. It would be
quite a burden.
It would be too much of a burden, and it would kind of short circuit a person. What I try to do, I mean, obviously I get angry, but what I try to do is, and I think this is the first thing in a step towards change, instead of, you know, use the anger to take some action, whether that be refute someone's statement either online or in person, or have a debate with someone that is expressing some idea that you just know is hurtful to others, and be like, hey, listen, no offense, I really would like to discuss this with you because I think we could have a healthy debate about it. The problem is that people don't want to debate, right? They just want to be right, and if they feel like if they even have a debate, that it's admitting that there's some flaw in their theory. And like I said, until we can actually have a dialogue about anything, we can't change a little bit about anything. You know what I mean? There can be no change without dialogue, right? So,
well, not only that,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry. The debates are usually, I find debates are the person's trying to get heard. They want to be heard. On this show, we talk about the opposite. We have to hear.
Right.
A debate is about hearing. It's not about talking. I mean, yes, there is talking involved. But if the end goal is to make sure that you win the debate, what's the point? I mean, are we communicating or not?
Maybe debate, there might be a different word, because debate does kind of have an adversarial sense to it.
The way you said it, I totally get.
Okay.
I agree.
But
I think we do need to have a debate, but it's got to be a hearing.
That's what I mean. I think more like a one-on-one town hall is probably maybe a better analogy. A town hall is when everyone gets together and they express their opinions on a subject, and they try to come to some kind of consensus to what's best for the community. I think, we're all our own town. We're responsible for ourselves, and it's okay to have a one-on-one town hall meeting. And listen, I'm open to hearing anybody else's viewpoint, as long as they're open to listening to mine, right? I'm not going to speak with someone that I know is absolute. Like, I would never talk to Kyrie Irving, because I know Kyrie Irving does not want to listen, because I'm sure he has the best PR people and managers and agents who all told him this was the stupidest thing you've ever done out of a lot of stupid things, right? And he still did not listen. These are people that are around him. So I wouldn't waste my breath. But if I knew I had a chance to shine a light and maybe get a light shown on something, I don't know. I mean, there are certain things that are irrefutable that we can never debate about. The Holocaust happened. And if you want to have a debate about it, then you're crazy. Go listen to Kanye and get out of my face, right? But if the subject, if there's areas of that there could be some leeway in the subject, yes, I'm open to a debate. But something like that, there's no debate to supporting anti-Semitism. There's no debate to support racism. So what I think all we could do is try to keep talking to people like, you have to think about what you say and what you do and what you represent and how it affects others.
Yeah.
This world has become very self-centered, right? It's like, if it doesn't affect me directly, it doesn't affect the world to a lot of people. And that's why they don't stand up for anybody, right? Unless it happens directly to them, they feel or they do it in a way that doesn't really, change anything, but makes them look good. Like they'll like something. It's like, oh, anti-Semitism is bad, and they'll press like. But would you step in if you saw someone yelling at someone in the street, calling them a derogatory slur for a Jewish person? Would you say, don't do that? Would you step in and be like, yo, we don't play like that here? Now, would you say that if you saw someone being called the N-word by a white guy? Are you going to say something, or are you just going to let that person get attacked? That's where I think not enough people are willing to step up and say, no, not on my watch. I don't need to belong to that group to support that group and to fight for that group. You know what I mean? Because persecution is things a lot of groups have in common. You know what I mean? So I just think not enough people will step out in public to help others outside of themselves.
Well, I think you hit on a very key point about the fact that we got to take the anger and actually do something about it. We have to take action. Listen, my channel on YouTube, it exists because I was angry. I was angry about what happened to me as a chronic pain patient and the fact that people did not understand it and I got the wrong information and I did not want this happening to other people. So that's the kind of thing that we need across the board. I'm not saying to toot my own horn about this because I didn't do it to feel good about myself. I did it because I knew what kind of pain and suffering people were going to have if we didn't get the word out. Well, really, in many ways, the same is true about anti-Semitism or racism or sexism or homophobic thinking. All of that stuff does need to have these discussions. But I'll tell you what, there's one other discussion that really needs to happen. And in some ways, this is the discussion that needs to happen the most. We have to have a discussion about the fact that there is a truth about some things. I understand some things are subjective. But if there's no truth to anything, that's where Kyrie Irving shows up. Because now, who's to say? You know, and now we'll listen to a guy who's telling you, oh, what they're telling you isn't true. Listen, what they're telling you often isn't true. That doesn't make Kyrie Irving Jesus, and then you need to follow him. Mm-hmm. If he's saying things that actually make sense, fine. But what's he even saying in what he tweeted? Like, I don't even know what his message was. I never even bothered to find out because it was buried under an avalanche of garbage.
What, the actual tweet itself?
Or even why he did it.
No, that's the irony of it. There was no caption. It was only the link to the Amazon selling the film. It wasn't even a link to the clip to the film.
Which like in some ways that's even worse.
That's
like,
even worse. That's what I mean.
Like
this is where we get to the bigger picture, right? There are still enough people that believe this stuff, right? That a film not only got greenlit for funding, but produced, distributed, and has a link where you could buy it on Amazon next to your toiletries, right?
And guess what? The sales went way through the roof.
Exactly. And now a whole new bunch of people are getting misled and getting lied to, and a group of people that went through the shit. They have to go through this all over again. They got to feel like we can't win. We can't win. You know, it'd be so funny because not so funny, but if let's say Michael Bolton, who's a great singer, right? And by the way, if Kyrie did not play basketball, can we all agree we wouldn't have heard of Kyrie Irving, regardless of what link he put up, because no one would care because he wouldn't have 17 million followers. And I think that's part of the danger. Not only is he stupid, but he's stupid and famous. And famous people just easily get followed. If he was just a guy from Brooklyn, maybe 15 or 20 people might be liking him, but not millions, right? But can you imagine if... let me use baseball, right? Because it's mostly white. Let's say Mike Trout, right? Let's say Mike Trout plays for the Angels. Let's say Mike Trout just posted a link with no caption, mind you, to an Amazon link that had a movie that said slavery didn't exist and that black people decided to work voluntarily because they preferred the weather in the South.
Yeah,
right.
And then imagine he doesn't apologize for it, which, of course, I don't want a fake apology, but...
Right, and then said, I can't be racist because of where I'm from. I mean, it sounds ridiculous when you flip it. And, you know, it's funny. It's, you know, do you think because he's African-American that he can be racist and think that, well, I can't be racist because I'm African-American? I mean, can he be thinking like that? I mean...
It's possible. I don't. Edgar, what do you think?
I think so. He might, you know?
I mean,
because
I still can't understand how anybody... And he went to... I mean, he only went for a year and a half, but he did go to Duke, which is like a very, very, very good school.
Well, he is cerebrally smart. I mean, he he is a very smart guy in terms of his capability.
But
What is he doing with it? He's being the dumbest ass in history.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
listen, just because you're a person of color, you can't. That doesn't grant you the right to say anything disparaging about any other group, no matter what your particular group.
I mean, if anything, I
went
would think that it would, like lend itself towards some brotherhood, some camaraderie
Empathy,
about it.
yeah.
I mean,
And I think in most cases it does. I think in the majority of cases it does. And it's just scary that you could still get that large of a number of people to still buy into this at this day and age when we've come so far. And I thought we'd learned so much. But it's just so much easier to reach large groups of people now than it was because of social media and technology. It's easier to get bad information to millions quickly. It took 20 or 30 years to get the world maybe caught, or longer than that, to clear up some stuff. And then social media within a couple of years, because you could get bad information out there forever, and people believe Wikipedia over CNN, that all of a sudden you're erasing like 40, 50 years of progress on a next generation that's honestly getting all of their news from Twitter feed.
right. And it's terrifying. Just terrifying.
Yeah.
And that's why.
I wanna
Go ahead, Edgar.
No, I just want to talk about something that Eric said about the whole, and I think you said it as well, on if you're walking down the street and you see someone getting abused verbally, physically, whatever, would you say something? And I think we live in a society, especially nowadays, that everyone could see something, and even if it bothers them, they mind their business and keep walking. You know?
There's a famous study in psychology. Do you know about this? It's, Kitty Genovese. She was actually murdered in front of several eyewitnesses, and they did nothing.
Nothing.
They were too scared to, or what? I don't know what it was, but we don't have enough. This is why I think it's so important to get angry on people's behalf, because it's almost like we've got to train ourselves to care better for people in action.
Mm-hmm.
It's not enough to just kind of care, in basic ideology. I mean, you got to get out there. I mean, and I've lived this way for some time now, where would I intervene if something like that was going on? The answer actually is yes. I've done it. You have to.
I'm remembering one conversation I had. It wasn't about Jewish population, but I was working out with a comedian friend. Won't mention any names. And he actually said with absolute authority that lesbians ran show business. I'm not kidding. He said that the lesbian community, and he actually said I couldn't get some breaks because, and I had to tell him, I said, listen, I'm not a lesbian, but I have to tell you, bro, that's just fucking ridiculous. You know what I mean? That's if you knew the struggle of just to live as a lesbian and to think that they could control an industry and keep you out of it, I think you're overestimating the impact and you're taking away from what they went through and continue to go through.
I mean, it's also completely delusional. Like,
well, I mean, of course it is, but yet you have the stereotype about Jewish people running show business.
You do. I mean, and listen, Jews have a lot of influence over the movie industry, but I was just talking to my own therapist about this actually. And she pointed out that the reason that the Jews are so influential in the film industry is because they couldn't get jobs in most of the other industries. They had to invent an industry to be able to work.
Come on.
So it really makes my blood boil to have people say, oh, it's unfair. They control this industry. Guess what? We had to invent an industry because we couldn't get jobs in other places. And people say, like, Jews control all the money. My grandpa came over from Poland penniless. What are you talking about? Like, can we just agree to try to find truth?
Thank you. Well, thank you. But yeah, you know what they're going for these days, Dan? People put the word "my" in front of truth, And then because they think it's mine, that just fucking trumps all the facts you just gave me. Because damn it, that's not my truth. But you know what? There is only one truth, like you said. You know, your truth about yourself is not that's your truth that for you. But you can't apply my truth to the facts of history, to the world, or to physics, or whatever cannot be disputed or changed. But I swear, people think so highly of themselves that they think, well, no, it's my truth, even though it's completely delusional.
Okay, and let me also, I feel like for anybody who's listening to this who, you know, thinks Kyrie Irving has a point or whatever, I will say this because I want to cut this off at the knees. I am not saying that what I believe is all based on truth and I haven't been misinformed about anything. There is disinformation out there, and I'm sure that I've gotten some of it. But I am committed to getting the real truth. And that means you can have a real discussion with me. People like Kyrie Irving, you can't even have a discussion with. He just sits there with his thumb up his ass, feeling so great about himself. And I know that he doesn't actually. He wouldn't be doing that if he felt good about himself. But the fact is, we shouldn't be engaged in any kind of debate where the goal is to feel like you are the smartest person in the room.
Yeah.
If anything, it should be about learning. I want to have a debate where I learn something and where I find what is the truth. I'm okay if I've misunderstood something. I'm open to it. I'm not open to maybe I've misunderstood whether the Holocaust exists and maybe Kyrie Irving is a secret genius who knows what's happening when no one else is.
Kyrie Irving, secret genius.
I think, you know what, Dr. Dan, before we started this episode, we talked about this, and I think it hit it on the nail, man, the importance of getting mad for other people, you know? And Eric said it just a few minutes ago where he saw a fellow comedian say a comment and you felt like you could address it. Sometimes we would address the people that we feel most comfortable with, you know? Maybe you'll get mad for certain people, but we need to understand that we need to get mad for everyone. You know, and as I'm sitting here listening to both of you guys talk, I'm like, you know, when this happens to me, am I gonna step up? You know, next time I walk out there and I see something that should not be happening, am I gonna, you know, move forward? And the answer is yeah. But then you know, at least I'm thinking about it. And you know,
That's
and
right.
it is very important to step up for your friends, to step up, to get mad for people, especially if you see someone getting abused, if you see someone like, yeah, definitely step up and say, and you know, and defend them, man, because that's how you know how true the friendship is. And in Dr. Dan's case, from that post that you did, now you're battling because now you're questioning, damn, are these people really real with me? Are these people understanding me? Are these people going to be there for me? If I ever need these people, would they be there for me? Now you got all these question marks, and it messes you up as a human being because now you're like, I got to question everything, you know? I got definitely question everything.
Yeah.
Did you guys hear that?
I did.
That was actually, believe it or not, Kyrie Irving was just calling.
Kyrie Irving was calling in.
Kyrie Irving said, "Listen, I heard y'all talking about me, and I'm here sitting on my flat yacht on the flat world, and I just wanted to see if I could call."
Can I ask you a question, Dr. Dan?
Yeah.
Because as I've been hearing this, the whole episode I've been listening to both of you guys, and you said you spoke to your therapist about this, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want you to tell us what the therapist told you, but I want you to actually step out of yourself for a second. And what would you tell yourself if someone came up to you with this problem? And I'm only doing this because I want the listeners to understand when someone comes up to you with something that maybe you don't understand as much, maybe you know you're not aware of much. But what should we do as humans when we're listening to someone vent out on something that's really, really bothering them?
Well, that's a great question. And what I was thinking about, as you were talking just a bit earlier, actually, was about bullying. Because when people are bullied, the problem is there's multiple problems with it, but the worst problem of all is that it is dehumanizing. It makes the person feel they're being treated as less than a human being. And the damage that does is so massive. In fact, if you think about, I would say a huge proportion of suicides is because someone has been dehumanized in some way. So that's the main thing we have to do. is to protect against that. So what I would want to say to myself, unfortunately, you can't combat dehumanization in yourself. You need other people for that. Because you can't, I mean, I suppose you can, but it's really hard to hold that ground yourself. So I think what we need to say to people who are in that spot, whatever it is we need to condemn what was wrong, not because we're restricting speech or we're interested in controlling the narrative or we're denying that disinformation is out there, but because that person is a real person that is hurting. And we have to help them know that we actually do care. And that you don't necessarily have to get angry on their behalf and like go ranting and raving, but maybe a better way to put it than getting angry on somebody's behalf is just showing that you really do care and showing that you think they're a real person, that they shouldn't be dehumanized in any way. I remember growing up, there was a handful of kids in my elementary school who got teased mercilessly. And I was always a very nice kid. I never did any of that. But I also didn't step up. I mean, I was just a kid, but I did not step up and tell that person, hey, don't listen to them. That's a bunch of garbage. You're a good person. And you know what? I bet it would have made a difference to those kids if I had. So I think that's what we need to do. We need to step in and say that we care. It doesn't matter as much whether we intervene with the person who's causing the problem, like Kyrie Irving. It matters more whether we show up on the Facebook post and say, I think you're a human being. I care about you. I don't like that this happened to you. The Kyrie Irvings of the world, it doesn't matter. You can't convince them of anything. It doesn't matter. I mean,
we could find those kids you grew up with. We could go find them now.
You could.
Let's go defend them. No, I'm just kidding.
But well, you know what, though? I mean,
listen,
they probably don't need your defense, but at this point, but, you know, I'm sure it would be gratifying for them to hear, you know, I've thought about that.
Yeah.
So, but what do you think kept you from doing it? Do you recall feeling like you wanted to say something? And if so, what was it that kept you from doing it? Because a lot of people may feel that feeling that they want to say something, but something's keeping them from doing it. How do you get somebody to get over that feeling and say, you know what, do the right thing and say something?
I think a lot of people either don't feel strong enough or they feel worried about the conflict that will come with it, which I totally do understand. But I think the thing that can get us to do it is to recognize that somebody's sense of their own humanity is in the balance. It's just that important. Kyrie's calling again.
I am telling you, we got his ear, bro. We are burning Kyrie Irving's ears.
This episode hasn't even come out, and he's already like,
"What's it?" He's already knows, man. He's like, "Dude, the Jews told me."
The Jews told me.
That's what that's how crazy he is.
But
crazy.
You know, the thing is, like, because I know who you are, and because I've heard you say vocally, you can make that joke, and it doesn't worry me. But like, somebody I don't know, after what Kyrie Irving put out there, it's scary. It really is.
I'm glad you said that because, you know, as a comedian, we always wonder, where is that line? You know, to joke, and even though it was me joking about what Kyrie Irving said, a lot of people could hear that, and just by hearing the term that I said, the Jews, even though I was imitating somebody else, that sounds like a derogatory term in an attack.
It's true, though. You laid it on thick on purpose because you have a good sense of the humor and, you know, what's going to work.
Well, but I guess what I want to get out there is that, you know, it's, and not that I'm suggesting everybody try to be a comedian. I'm a professional. Please don't do that, ladies and gentlemen. Just, you got to get good at it. But there is, you know, you can be lighthearted on a subject without it being a vicious attack on a group. You know what I mean? Like there is a difference, and because then if you're afraid of what you're going to say, then all discussion stops. Like, you see the conversation Dan and I just had was a great way of kind of breaking down something that, you know, is very common. You know, you'll make a joke and you don't think of the impact it has until someone says, hey, this is the kind of impact it could have. And,
To me-
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well,
No,
to me, it's all about intentionality. And I'm willing to find out what people's intentionality is. So, you're making jokes to try to get people to see the reality of it and how sad and awful it is, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie Irving revealed his intentionality not when he tweeted it, but afterwards. Afterwards, it was clear that his intentionality was, look how smart I am, everybody.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
I use humor. Like I think everybody uses humor to kind of diffuse
Sure.
conflicts. I think that to be able to inject humor and a little levity opens up the field for dialogue. You know what I mean?
I agree.
And I also think that intentionality is always important. But even if the intentionality isn't negative, we should always be aware of what we're doing and what we're saying. I think in this format, I think this is why this is important that we're having this discussion, because there may be a group of guys that have a Jewish friend that is feeling this way about what's going on with Kyrie Irving, and maybe feels uncomfortable talking about it, and they may not realize they'll make their friend feel a lot better if they started a discussion and said, you know what, that pissed me off too. There's nothing I could do to stop him or his millions of asshole followers, but I can tell you that it bothered me on your behalf, so I just wanted to let you know. I think that would feel great, right? That would have to feel great.
That would have made a whole difference.
Totally.
Anything, like I was just thinking of what could I have replied to Dr. Dan's post if that was the case, and what you just said. Sometimes you don't have to get into it. You don't have to get all into it and everything, but just the fact that you support someone and you stand by them and you understand their pain. That's what it's all about. That's the importance of getting mad for other people. As long as we do it in the right term, though. Sometimes people come at you with some stupid shit, and you be like, all right, and then because you're a good friend, you're gonna get mad knowing that they wrong, and you still get mad for them. That's not a true friend either. Which we always got to determine that as well. Because the person that gets mad for you right away, and you're like, wait a second, but I'm wrong. I'm just talking shit. Why is this person getting mad with me? Now it's two idiots that are wrong. You know what I'm saying? So we got to determine what we get mad about and how we defend people and be there for each other. But
have real empathy, not fake empathy. Real empathy. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Not false. Have it be legit or don't have it at all.
Because there's people out there that probably just are looking for those people that get mad with them. There's probably people out there that get a thrill from that shit. I'm gonna see how many people I can get on my side today.
Yeah,
no freaking good point or reason whatsoever.
It all has to be genuine, and I include the apology, because who wants an apology that isn't genuine? I mean, you're just saying words. We don't need that. But I do think if we can get more people to think about not just anti-Semitism, but to think about all of these things, so much the better.
Yeah,
I agree.
But guys, I do want to thank you, because our discussions have helped me a lot in many, many ways. And it's such a safe place for me that I know I can come here and talk. And that's what this is all about.
That's it. We talk, we vent, we laugh, we joke at each other, and at the end, it feels great. Like, I feel like this is your week. A couple of episodes ago, we had Eric, and his floating football episode, and how he vented out and how crazy that was. But I felt like today it was yours, and I'm glad that it's happening this way. In the beginning, In the beginning, I felt like we were always like pressuring each other to do walking the walks and be like, okay, it's my turn to walk the walk, and now you gotta think of stuff. I appreciate it more when it happens like this, because it's more natural. I need the people at home or viewing or listening to understand that we literally had a meeting right before this and decided what we were going to talk about right before we went on air. It's not like we knew that Dr. Dan was going to come up with this. This is nothing. So Dr. Dan really took advantage of the fact that we got together today and said, you know what, I'm going to get this off my chest. And I support you. And like I said in the beginning, I'll say it again. I'm sorry you had to go through that. And know that you have a Puerto Rican friend here. Two.
Yeah, that's right. Don't forget.
On either side of me.
Well,
on either side of you. Yes.
that's right. You're surrounded by Latinos. Well, the other thing is, I think that, Edgar, what happened is we every episode is us knowing each other longer and having more trust and understanding how the kind of response we'll get and support we'll get. And I think that that's turned it from a show to a conversation that turns into a show. Instead of trying to, we tried to turn, you know what I mean? Instead of us trying to force it because we thought we were doing a show, we just started having a conversation that ended up becoming a show.
Yeah.
And with friendship as the foundation, and not just because of time, which is why it's always, as difficult it is for us to get together sometimes, and it's a challenge to make the taping for whatever reason. We're all living our lives, but it is a good opportunity for just three people to get together and kind of build each other up to prepare for the following weekend in the hopes that it'll have the same impact on somebody that's watching or listening, which I think just makes it a nice thing that we have going.
But and that is living proof that little by little, baby steps, things will happen. This weekend when I was in Kentucky on Sunday, I went to a sports bar, to get some wings, and I was looking around and I saw a lot of guys, a lot of men watching football, in packs here, pack there. They all laughing, they all getting mad at the game, and I'm like, it's good to see men bonding, but do they really know what the hell is bothering each other? Do they really know each other's problems? Like like I've always said it, men, we talk a lot of shit, but we don't talk about what's inside, what counts the most. But this should be living proof for everyone viewing or listening that, once you start building that bond, there's nothing that I can't tell Dr. Dan or Eric, and let's see what happens to me this week. And maybe next time we meet, maybe I'm going to be the one that's going to be like, hey guys, I want to talk about this. But I love how it's getting more natural. I love how we're vibing better because we understand each other and support each other. And at the end of the day, that's what I'm trying to let everyone out there know, man, that, find someone that could support you, find someone that you could be yourself with, and let's start understanding and supporting each other better as men, And I'm mad for you, Dr. Dan. I swear to God, as soon as this is over, I'm going to that post right now, and I'm going to post a little Puerto Rican flag. Puerto Rican community supports you, Dr. Dan.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it. I mean, it does make such a difference. You need to know that people do care, and people show how they care differently. Maybe that's not the way everybody shows that they care, but I do think not showing up when somebody's really upset, not the best idea for helping them feel valued.
Especially if that person means something to you.
Yeah.
Especially if you know that person personally, if you have a relationship with this person, that makes you an asshole, really, honestly. You know what I'm saying? It does. And like I said, man, not a lot of us put good stuff on social media. Social media is all for fun, the hype. If everybody see my social media, they think I'm living my best life. Everybody will see my social media, I guess living his best life, And hell no, I'm going through everything myself. But, it's crazy how the one time that you actually go and put something that hurts you and no one gives you that feedback, that shit makes you feel like shit. So let's be better fucking people, yo. That's it.
Yeah. Our actions show who we are.
Exactly.
More than our words.
Exactly. Actions speak louder than words.
I didn't want to use the exact cliche, but it's I mean, you had more people quitting Twitter over Elon Musk than you did have quitting Kyrie Irving. I think that's ironic. That you heard more outrage about Twitter, than you did about. But even though there a good chunk of people did turn on him, and Kanye lost. He's no longer a billionaire. So I mean, there is some sadness out there to their anti-Semitic actions, but yet people are still supporting them, even though they're saying and believing this. And until we have no one believing this about any group of peoples, but particularly the Jewish community, then there's still a fight to happen. So I'm with you, Dan. And I'm genuinely moved by how you were moved. And I think I'm actually feeling what you felt when you made your statement is going to make me even angrier moving forward, and maybe sad that I wasn't even angrier before.
You open my
Well,
eyes.
thank you so much, guys. I appreciate it. It changes things. You know, I'll go back to my life and carry this with me and know that you guys are with me.
Yeah,
It
man.
means a lot.
Thank you. Always, brother. Always.
That's right.
Awesome.
All right.
Awesome
Well, I'll
episode,
take us
man.
out.
Definitely do it, bro.
All right. Kyrie Irving has gotten me completely forgotten what I was even supposed to say.
If you
I was
haven't done
just
so
going to say,
already.
I was like, Kyrie Irving can't take away my ability to do this. And then he did.
And
But
then he
I'm
did.
back. Here we go, guys. If you haven't already, click subscribe, ring the bell for notifications, hit like if you like what you're hearing, and put your comments below, and we'll get back to you personally.
Yes, brothers in arms.
Basura.
Support each other.
See. Dan,
Who says
man.
C? Who says C?
See.
He says C.
Dan, man.